It started on a Monday. Not the poetic kind, not rainy, not golden hour magic. Just a plain, paper gray Monday in Brooklyn. I had just closed a deal on a brownstone that took 3 months of negotiation, a dozen late-night calls, and one very convincing charm offensive. That morning, I felt like I was finally on a winning streak again. Business was good. Clients were loyal. My database, a carefully curated list of elite buyers and sellers, was my crown jewel. No one had access to it but me. That was my golden rule. Then she walked in. "Marissa," she said, her voice lighter than air, as if years hadn't passed. I turned around and there she was, Tasha Wynn. We hadn't spoken since high school. Back then, she was the kind of girl who borrowed your lipstick and forgot to give it back. The kind who knew every secret, but never shared her own. But life must have humbled her. Her coat was thrift, her shoes scuffed, and her eyes, they had hunger behind them. "I saw your name on a bus stop ad," she smiled. I thought, no way, that's my Marissa Blake. She called me hers, like she owned a piece of my success, because she once loaned me her notes in geometry class. We went for coffee. She told me about a breakup, a dead-end job, dreams she shelved. And I saw myself 5 steps before the fall. A part of me, the part that remembers friendship bracelets and sleepovers, wanted to help. "I need anything," she said. "Even front desk. Just something steady." And I broke my rule. I gave her a job. I told myself it was temporary. That my systems were secure. That she didn't want anything from me but a paycheck and stability. But predators don't look like monsters. They smile. They say thank you. They wait. Tasha watched everything. My scripts. My pitch style. My VIP client notes. She made herself invisible in the loudest rooms, and I was too busy building to notice the shadow I'd let in. The first red flag was a client canceling with no reason. Then another. Then I found out 2 former clients were suddenly working with my biggest competitor, Atlas Lux Realty. I checked their listings. They were using my descriptions. My buyer tags. My tone. Tasha had downloaded my entire CRM and sold it, names, budgets, contact histories, personal notes, all of it. I felt sick. Betrayed. Violated. But I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I wrote. Because Tasha didn't just steal my clients. She gave me my next bestseller. I should have seen the signs. The late nights organizing files. The conveniently timed printer malfunctions that sent her into my office, hovering near my desk. The sudden curiosity about which clients preferred which neighborhoods, always masked as trying to learn. At the time, I thought she was just motivated. Finally finding her stride. After all, I wanted her to succeed. I wanted my old friend to feel valued. To believe she belonged in this new world I'd built from nothing. But behind the scenes, Lana had already found her way into my most sacred system. Not a diary. Not a notebook. My CRM. Years of curated clients, market notes, customized communication templates. Everything that made my agency tick. Everything that made my numbers soar where others stumbled. It wasn't just names. It was trust. And she copied it. Exported it. Sold it. I didn't find out right away. Of course not. No, the betrayal came softly at first. A long-time client ghosted me right before closing. Another cancelled, citing too much pressure. Then came the flood. Agents from a rival firm began showing listings I'd scouted for months. Using phrasing I'd written. Calling on birthdays. Offering special deals I had designed myself. I thought I was losing my mind. Until I checked the access logs. My heart nearly cracked open when I saw the export entry. The date. The time. Her login. There it was. Clear as day. She took what I'd trusted her with, and made it into a transaction. I wanted to scream. I wanted to confront her. But I didn't. Instead, I printed the logs. Sat at my desk. Looked at her across the office. She was laughing with another agent. Eating a muffin I'd bought. Using a mug with my agency's logo. She didn't know I knew. Not yet. And in that moment, a strange calm washed over me. Because the moment you realize you've been stabbed in the back is also the moment you know exactly where to aim next. I didn't go to the police. I didn't sue. And I didn't cry. I wrote. Not with revenge in my chest, but with precision in my veins. You see, Lana didn't just betray me. She handed me a story. A living, breathing villain dressed in pastels and fake sympathy. And I was a writer long before I was an agent. I opened a blank document and began typing. Chapter 1, She smiled while stealing. Names were changed, of course. But the essence. Untouched. I painted her betrayal stroke by stroke, from the late-night logins to the phone calls she whispered in the copy room. I wove her lies into monologues, turned her betrayal into plot twists. But I didn't stop there. Because secrets are rarely one-dimensional. Lana liked to talk. Especially after wine. Especially to me, her oldest friend. And over the years, she confessed things she never thought I'd remember. The affair with the married appraiser, who approved false valuations. The investor scam she was only kind of part of. The burner email she used to anonymously badmouth other agents in the city. I kept it all. And now, I used it all. Each chapter deeper. Darker. More damning. It wasn't about pettiness anymore. It was about control. Reclaiming the story. Making her watch as I reshaped the narrative. When the manuscript was done, I didn't pitch it to publishers. I self-published. One strategic Instagram post. One bold caption. A fictional tale of betrayal, business, and becoming unstoppable. It caught fire. Everyone in our circle read it. Everyone in the local real estate world whispered about it. And Lana knew. She never said a word, but her eyes told the story. She stopped wearing bright colors. She left early. She flinched every time my name came up in conversation. But the best part? The city loved my book. Book clubs. Podcasts. Panels. They called it a raw expose of female competition in a male-dominated field. They called it brave. They called it cathartic. I didn't correct them. And Lana? She couldn't. Because the moment you sell someone else's trust, you lose the right to tell your version. The irony. Lana never understood what the real betrayal was. She thought it was the book. The fact that I turned her dirty laundry into clean pages, tied neatly with a clever title and a sharp author photo. But the truth? It wasn't the story. It was that I no longer needed to protect hers. That client database she stole. It had taken me years to build. Each name, a door I had opened with trust, persistence, and a little charm. She sold it to my rival like it was nothing. A file. A spreadsheet. But for me, it had been a diary. A record of every family I helped. Every couple I guided through the chaos of first homes and final decisions. She didn't just steal data. She stole my proof of purpose. And in return, I turned her into a parable. I got invited to speak at conferences. They called me a fresh voice in real estate storytelling. They asked about the book, about the fictional character who betrayed the protagonist. I smiled. Tilted my head. Some betrayals write themselves, I'd say. What they didn't know. I wasn't done. I started a podcast. Signed, sealed, exposed. Each week, I told a story, disguised, of course, about the strange, beautiful, and brutal sides of working in real estate. And yes, some of those stories. They had roots in Lana's choices. Her shortcuts. Her carelessness. People listened. Agents from other cities reached out. Young women starting out messaged me, saying they finally felt seen. That my voice made them feel less alone in rooms full of sharks. And slowly, I became something Lana never could. Respected. Relatable. Real. Meanwhile, she faded. No one said it out loud, but her business dried up. Clients pulled back. Whispers spread. I hadn't named her. But the world recognized the pattern. And when her rival agency, the one she'd sold my list to, merged with another firm, they cut her loose. Too much drama, they said. I didn't gloat. I didn't post. I simply wrote my second book. This time, it wasn't about her. It was about me. About healing. About legacy. About rebuilding after being burned. And on the dedication page, I wrote, to the people who tried to erase me. Thank you for giving me a clearer pen. For the longest time, I believed success had to be quiet. That if I shouted too loud, someone like Lana would hear it, and take it. But after that second book, I realized I didn't have to whisper anymore. I started mentoring. At first, just 1 or 2 women, fresh-faced, full of ideas and fear. They reminded me of myself before I learned to be suspicious. I taught them what I knew. How to negotiate without apologizing. How to walk away when a client disrespects your time. How to price your worth like a man would, and then add tax. My small office grew louder with laughter. With planning. With dreams. And I wasn't afraid of that noise anymore. We launched our own agency, all women, all backgrounds, all hungry. We didn't just sell houses. We told stories. A family's first apartment. A widow's fresh start. A little girl's pink bedroom. We branded everything with a tagline Lana once mocked. Every key unlocks more than a door. We meant it. By our second year, we were named one of the top women-led brokerages in the state. Clients lined up. Agents asked to join. The press called. I smiled. And I didn't hide. One day, I saw Lana at a networking event. She looked small. Not in body, in energy. The kind of small that comes from realizing the game changed and you're no longer on the board. She saw me across the room. I didn't wave. I didn't look away. I simply stood taller. Later that night, I got an email. Subject: I read your book. No body text. No apology. Just a single attachment. A headshot. Her resume. I stared at it. Then, without bitterness, I deleted it. Because the new me. She didn't need revenge. She had receipts. And she had a team. If I could go back. To that day in high school when Lana slid next to me at lunch and whispered that I was too soft to make it in business. I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't defend my dreams. I'd just smile and say, watch me. Because soft doesn't mean weak. And kind doesn't mean naive. I'd tell that version of me, the one who cried silently in her car after clients ghosted, who flinched every time someone said networking event, who spent years shrinking so others could shine. I'd tell her. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't need to be smaller to be safe. You are allowed to want more, take up space, change the rules. And no one, no best friend, no ex, no stranger in a corner office, gets to decide your value. I'd tell her that one day, she'll walk into a room filled with women who built an empire from everything she thought she lacked. That she'll sip espresso in an office she owns, watching a younger version of herself walk in, nervous, but hungry, and offer her a seat at the table she built. I'd tell her. You didn't just survive betrayal. You turned it into your biography. And you didn't write it alone. You wrote it with every woman who's ever been underestimated, interrupted, dismissed. You wrote it with open hands, not clenched fists. You turned pain into power, and power into legacy. And Lana. She became a sentence in your story, not the ending. Not even close. So no, I wouldn't change what happened. I'd just change what I believed about myself back then. Because now, I know exactly who I am. And the world knows too.